now, right 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 now. Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today, so we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest and everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about how Bitcoin is about to smash all-time high. Guys, Bitcoin hit over $107,000 last night, bringing us right back up to our previous all-time high, only at $109. We're only $2,000 away on these local highs from breaking the all-time high. And today we are going to be talking about why I think that a major break above $109,000 is going to be happening very soon. If you want to understand where your investments are going, and more importantly, where we should be making more investments, where we should be planting more seeds in the ground so that we can build a larger crop of Bitcoin, then you found the right stream. So without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it and give a big warm welcome to everybody who is in chat today. Thank you all for being here. Abraham Lee coming in first. We got Kryptoni in chat. Christian M. Ross Jen is in chat. Nicholas Myron, Christian M. Christopher Ryans, Philly Skills 1428. Schmedley B's in chat. Stephen Alexander, Angela W., Christopher Ryans, and Kryptoni. Really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. And some very exciting news. We are officially going to be at the Bitcoin 2025 conference here in Las Vegas on next Wednesday and next Thursday. So if you're going to be at the Bitcoin 2025 conference, let me know. Follow us on X. I will be probably scheduling a meetup both days. I don't know when or where exactly that's going to happen yet, so you're going to have to check our X account to be able to figure out where that is. So make sure to follow us. Stay tuned. A lot of content coming. Going to try and get some exclusive interviews, shake some hands, meet some people, and try and meet you guys. Most importantly, I love interacting with you guys face to face. I actually ran into one of you, Anthony. I met a guy named Anthony at Legoland over the weekend. So shout out to him if he's watching in from Alaska. Love meeting you guys. Can't wait to run into some of you guys at the conference. And I'm also very excited to talk about the conference because it actually plays into today's analysis. It's super cool. I'm about to be at this event, which actually is a component of our technical analysis today. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about how all of that is going to come together to create a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Q2 and Q3 of 2025. Let's get started. Right now, Bitcoin is trading at $105,200 over the last 24 to 48 hours. Bitcoin has topped a local high of 107 grand. As you can see, just yesterday, we went all the way up to $106,700. On some exchanges, we went over $107,000, depending on the exchange. Now, this is very significant because it shows us that we have an enormous amount of bullish pressure, and it also shows us that we have a frighteningly small amount of resistance all the way up to 109. We have gotten within striking distance of $109,000 very quickly, and I'm here to tell you, as somebody who has been working in the cryptocurrency space for the better part of a decade now, when you get close to an all-time high and you have this kind of run, watch this. When you have this kind of run, the parabolic movement upward that we have witnessed over just the last 45 days. April the 6th, we were bottoming out at $76,000, $76,000, depending on the exchange. This kind of almost $40,000 movement, about a $30,000 to $35,000 movement, 40% appreciation. This shows us that the resistance is very weak. This shows us that the bears are not very strong. They are not very confident right now, and the bulls are very, very confident. You can even see this on CoinMarketCap's crypto community sentiment over here. 82% bullish, 18% bearish. People are resoundingly bullish right now. And we're going to see all of that come to fruition within the next 7 days when we most likely are going to be testing $109,000. We will gain more insight when Bitcoin reaches $109,000 as to whether or not it is going to break $109,000. At this point in time, I personally think that we're going to break straight through it and we're going to go parabolic up to $120,000 to $125,000 for a multitude of reasons. So let's kind of lay out the show map today and then we're going to get started. I always like to kind of let you guys know what we're going to start with, what we're going to cover in today's stream, so that you can look forward to what's coming and so you can know why you're here. First thing I want to talk about is the Genius Act. The Genius Act passed the Senate last night, now heading up to the desk of President Donald Trump. We're going to be talking about that, its implication on American cryptocurrency policy. We're going to be talking about that from the context of cryptocurrency adoption in the United States. Then we're also going to talk about some more general, foundational, and fundamental developments that are going on in the cryptocurrency space right now that are going to pave the way for mass adoption for Bitcoin over the next 10 years. Then we're going to look at the charts on Bitcoin and get an understanding of where Bitcoin is going in that context. Are we going to break $100,000 or not? And then from there, we're also going to kind of wrap it out with a prediction about what's going to happen next. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about the Genius Bill. The Genius Bill is a stablecoin act that gives the United States Congress an enormous amount of clarity on stablecoins. Specifically, it gives the stablecoin framework that we need to make them more or less a integral part of the American financial system. Reading here, I've got a little bit of information here I want to read to you. It passed the Senate last night on a procedural vote at 8:35 p.m. Eastern time yesterday with a 66 to 32 bipartisan margin. They needed 60 votes to pass the Senate. They got the Genius Bill got 66%. A couple of things I want you to understand about the Genius Bill is it requires stablecoin issuers to maintain 100% reserve backing in liquid assets such as U.S. Treasuries, U.S. dollars, Bitcoin, etc. Not Bitcoin, but in different liquid assets. So this means that stablecoins in the United States now have regulation that requires them to maintain 100% reserve backing. This is going to prevent the kind of concern that people have had about Tether, for example. There's been a concern for almost a decade now that Tether does not actually maintain one-to-one parity with 100% reserve backing for all of the issued new tokens that they put out. This bill requires that to be law, and it will also require routine audits to ensure that this is the case. This is very important for the foundation of the modern financial economy to be built on stablecoins. It is very important that this requires 100% reserve backing. It's a really big deal. Now, a couple of other things to talk about here. The Genius Bill also allows for stablecoins may not be considered securities. So we don't have the securities concern anymore, which means that stablecoins are actually going to be able to succeed. And the reason for that is because they're not going to be under securities requirements. If you've ever seen how a publicly traded company operates, there's several thousand of them in the United States, and the amount of securities filings that they have to do to the SEC is an entire line item in their budget. It costs several $1 million a year to maintain a good standing with the Securities and Exchange Commission because of how much red tape there is to be a security in the United States, which is why we've had so much concern about Bitcoin or Ethereum or your favorite cryptocurrencies being securities. That's why the SEC has come hard down on certain cryptocurrencies over the last 4-year term under President Biden in Operation Choke Point 2.0, which was trying to destroy the cryptocurrency industry. With this bill, it is now law, passed not an executive order. This is a law passed by the United States Congress, which states that stablecoins are not securities, which once again paves the way for adoption because it thwarts the attacks of anti-cryptocurrency individuals trying to come in and saying stablecoins are securities, so they need to be regulated, therefore, knowing full well that if stablecoins were regulated as securities, they would fail. They would not really be able to function very well. And it doesn't make sense that they're securities anyway because they're stable. It wouldn't pass the Howey test. There's no expectation of profit with a stablecoin. But now that threat factor, that threat vector is not something that we need to be concerned about with stablecoins, which once again paves the way for adoption and good common sense regulations such as requiring stablecoins to have 100% reserve backing. So this is an excellent move in the right direction for a multiple $100 billion industry within the cryptocurrency sector to pave the way for stablecoins to be recognized as legal tender. This is also another big win for your altcoins because stablecoins, technically speaking, are a form of an alternative currency. They're an altcoin of the dollar. They're an altcoin of the euro, etc. What that means is that we now have confirmation that Bitcoin is not a security. We have a Securities and Exchange Commission, which has more or less deemed most cryptocurrencies are not securities. And we also now have stablecoins not being regulated by the SEC, not even being regulated by the CFTC, but regulated by the OCC. What's the OCC? You've heard of CFTC, SEC. Who's the OCC? The OCC is the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. If you're familiar with how a large company runs, then you understand that there's typically someone in charge called the Comptroller of the Currency, and this is an individual or an entire department which is under the accounting, treasury, money management area of the business, and the Comptroller of the Currency is the one that is actually dealing with the money and the money movement. And the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency now is going to be the agency that stablecoins report to. The OCC is a much easier, from my understanding anyway, is a much easier administration to work with than the CFTC or the SEC. And so this is one of the biggest pieces of landmark legislation that we have had in history, paving the way for the advancement of cryptocurrency. And it also paves the way for other bills, such as the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill being sponsored by Congresswoman Cynthia Lummis. And so if this Stablecoin Act can pass with landslide, 2/3 margin, it paves the way for the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve to be passed through Congress, which would solidify Donald Trump's already current plan to build Strategic Bitcoin Reserve from the executive branch. This is very good news. Now, why does this matter for the price of Bitcoin? The reason this matters for the price of Bitcoin is because this is all one industry. And oftentimes we can get very tribalistic in the cryptocurrency space. We say, forget you, Bitcoin. I'm all about XRP. We've got a lot of people doing that right now. We've got, forget you, Ethereum. We like Solana. Forget you, XRP. We like Bitcoin. Forget you, Binance. We like Coinbase. We get very tribalistic, which is human nature, but it's not helpful. It's not beneficial. When one part of the industry benefits, and that part of the industry should be benefiting, such as stablecoins, it ends up becoming a very beneficial piece of news for the rest of the industry, because there will be spillover. We now have historical precedent that 2/3 of the United States Senate can vote in favor of a cryptocurrency bill. Let me say that again for the people in the back or the people that just weren't listening. We now have historical precedent that 2/3, 66 of 100 senators, voted in favor of a pro-cryptocurrency proper regulation bill. Not too much regulation, not too little regulation. The regulation of 100% reserve backing and monitoring by the OCC should have been in there. That is a good thing to do. Proper regulation, pro-cryptocurrency, 2/3 of the United States Senate voted in favor of that. That is precedent that paves the way for other pro-cryptocurrency legislation, and it also puts the United States, it also puts the cryptocurrency market even more in the crosshairs of the Congress, of the United States Congress, to provide common sense, proper regulation framework for the entire cryptocurrency industry to thrive. This is a bill that will likely pave the way once again for the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. This is a bill once again that will likely pave the way for other kinds of altcoin bills that'll be pro-cryptocurrency, instituting a framework that allows us to have the proper guardrails that you've heard everybody talking about. You hear anybody in the industry, you hear any chief information officer, chief investment officer, CEO, CTO, all of them, CRO, CPO, all of them. What are they all saying? They've been saying it for a decade. What are they saying? They're saying we need common sense regulation. We need proper guardrails to know what we can and cannot do in the cryptocurrency space, so that other companies that are not in the crypto industry can step into and do business with the cryptocurrency industry. In other words, we need Congress to help the cryptocurrency industry get its house in order from a congressional and from a legislative standpoint. With that happening, it is good for the entire industry. It is good for the adoption of everything in cryptocurrency. Could not be a better piece of news other than the actual Strategic Bitcoin Reserve itself. This is a big deal. Again, passed at 8:35 p.m. last night, and it is largely responsible for the rallies that we have seen on Bitcoin recently. Over the course of the last 24 hours, it became increasingly apparent that we were going to see this bill passed, and that's exactly what happened. Once again, at 8:35, we saw the market wick all the way up to $106,400, leading into the tallying of the votes. It was becoming very obvious around 8 o'clock that the Genius bill was going to pass. Right after it passed, Bitcoin reached up to a new all-time high here, a new local high here of $106,793. One more point that I almost forgot to mention: this passing legislation also puts the nail in the coffin of a United States dollar CBDC, because stablecoins and CBDCs have been at odds. You kind of either do one or the other. The fact that this is now law means that the future of digital currencies in the United States are not going to be managed by a central government agency like the Federal Reserve or the SEC. They're going to be managed by private companies such as Tether or Circle. This is a big deal for decentralized finance. This is one of the most important points. I'm surprised I almost forgot to say this. With the passing of the Genius Act, this means that CBDCs, although they were pronounced dead in the United States, are in reality dead in the United States because the void of that CBDCs would fill, needing a digital alternative to the dollar that is still pegged to the dollar, has now been filled by congressional law by stablecoins. Now, once again, this is going to the office of the president to be signed into law, but there's absolutely no reason to believe that Donald Trump will not sign the Genius Act into law. There's no reason to believe that he would veto it. And so this is as good as passed, even though it's not technically passed for a couple more days until Donald Trump signs it. Anyway, big news, big news, big news. Very good for Bitcoin, and it is one of the reasons that we believe that Bitcoin is going to go into a massive rally. As Dr. Payne just said, Genius Act has not been signed into law yet. Once again, it will most likely be signed very soon by Donald Trump. There's no reason to believe that he's not going to. All right, let's talk a little bit about other fundamentals because I want to help build the case for where this next rally is going. Ultimately, my conclusion with this stream is that I believe that Bitcoin is going to hit 109 and break it. It might take a little while to break it, but it's going to hit 109. It's going to break it, and I'm building that case. This starts with the Stablecoin Act, the Genius Act, but then we also need to talk a little bit about other pieces of news. I want to talk about JP Morgan Chase. JP Morgan is one of the largest banks in the world. In fact, technically, they are the largest bank in the world. Jamie Dimon, the chief executive officer of JP Morgan, has been against cryptocurrency for a very long time. And I think it was 2017, might have been 2018. He commented that anybody who traded or invested in Bitcoin at JP Morgan would be fired for, quote, stupidity. That is the individual that we were talking about that is running JP Morgan. Now, it's very funny because I know several people in the financial industry that actually know people at JP Morgan. So I have some kind of friends of friends in JP Morgan, and it's very interesting. The individuals that work at JP Morgan are actually some of the most pro cryptocurrency people in the world. And the reason for that is because some of the smartest financial people in the world work at JP Morgan. There is a reason why JP Morgan is one of the largest, JP Morgan Chase is one of the largest banks in the world. And so, you know, they've got what, like $2 trillion in assets under management. They're enormous, absolutely enormous. There is a market cap of $746 billion. Their market cap has grown by 54% in 1 year. So huge company. In fact, let's just pull up their stock price here to show that. Pull up JP Morgan Chase and Co. So JP Morgan Chase has gone through an enormous parabolic rally. This is the log chart, and it's still looking parabolic, right? JP Morgan, since the turn of the century, has rallied, give or take, 400%. That's not that great. But anyway, they've rallied a lot this year, right? Because they took a big dip during the correction earlier this year. Now, why is this important? Back in 2017, Jamie Dimon, kind of cover the whole story, Jamie Dimon made it very clear that he hated Bitcoin. He thought it was stupid. He was, speaking very similar to how different people were talking, saying that, Bitcoin is rat poison squared, and he was wrong. And at that time, had you bought Bitcoin and not listened to Jamie Dimon, then you would have gotten a 40x by now. Many people in his company did not. Many people in his company did not listen to him, and they bought Bitcoin anyway. And some of them were probably fired for that, although we don't necessarily have confirmation of that. What we know now is, as of, I think it was yesterday, JP Morgan is now going to allow its clients to invest in Bitcoin. And we had Jamie Dimon say that he still hates Bitcoin, but he will defend our right to buy Bitcoin the same way he would defend people's rights to smoke weed, which is a very interesting comment because spend money on Bitcoin instead of marijuana. If you smoke weed, quit smoking weed, buy Bitcoin. Just buy Bitcoin with it. There you go, right? That's something to do with your Bitcoin, with your money. Jamie Dimon understands now that while he personally does not like Bitcoin, him leading the company in a direction that is against Bitcoin is now stupid. And so I do think there's a great deal of pride in Jamie Dimon that he doesn't want to relinquish this idea that he doesn't like Bitcoin, and he's going to get left behind. He believes that his 400% since the return of the decade, since the turn of the century, is better than Bitcoin's 10 million % return since 2009. And I guess if he wants to hold on to a stupid opinion, then more power to him. But at least he understands that leading the company in the direction of being against Bitcoin is asinine, to use some Ben Shapiro language, right? It's stupid. It's like stupid. It's so stupid to bet against Bitcoin. I have never once in my entire life regretted buying Bitcoin. That's why we do it every day now. That's a big piece of news. Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan is in the direction of Bitcoin. going to rapid fire a couple of headlines here that might be helpful to understand. We've got another acquisition out of Michael Saylor to the tune of 7,900 Bitcoin, about $795 million purchase. Yesterday, that brings their balance sheet up of Bitcoin to about 580,000 Bitcoin. They're now approaching the 600,000 mark if you include Saylor's 32,000 or so Bitcoin that he owns personally, which nobody ever talks about anymore, but he owns like more Bitcoin than El Salvador by 4x personally, like his individually, just privately. Saylor and company now own over 600,000 Bitcoin. That's a big piece of news. We've had Metaplanet buy some more. We've seen several different other companies buy several thousand Bitcoin. Every time you look at X, there's a new private or public company acquiring Bitcoin, introducing a Bitcoin reserve strategy. You've got companies all around the world and countries all around the world legalizing Bitcoin and investing in Bitcoin like never before. This is a big deal for one final reason before we get to the technicals. The reason that this is a big deal is because there's a supply shock coming like you have never seen before. And the supply shock that I'm talking about is very simple to explain. The circulating supply of Bitcoin is theoretically 19.86 million. We've not quite hit 20 million yet. There's just shy of 20 million Bitcoin in circulating supply. But that's not true. The reason that that's not true is because we've already lost over 2 million Bitcoin to people sending it to the wrong address or losing the wallet entirely. Over 2 million Bitcoin has been deleted, never to be recovered again. Please don't become one of them. Make sure that the larger, for like every extra zero in the transaction, do an extra check. Like that's a good rule of thumb if you're sending Bitcoin. If you're sending $10 million worth of Bitcoin, do 8 checks. Check the address 8 times. Why the hell not? It's $10 million. You want that to get lit on fire? If you're sending $1,000 in Bitcoin, do 3 checks. Check the address 3 times. Just do it. Oh yeah, that takes too long. Shut up. Check your address. Your Bitcoin will get deleted. You can't call you can't call the Treasury Department at the bank and say, "Hey, could you help me? I lost my Bitcoin." No, it's gone. There's no insurance for that. It's gone. You can whine and complain all you want, but you didn't check. So make sure you got the address right, okay? Every extra zero, check that. We've lost 2 million Bitcoin. 1/10 of all Bitcoin ever mined is gone. At that rate, oh my goodness. Oh. The supply of Bitcoin is going to continually drop forever. Now, what's my point here? The point is the market capitalization should not be calculated the way that it is, but it is calculated that way. We have a market capitalization on Bitcoin of approximately $2 trillion. If we look at market cap here, it's about 2.08 trillion. That's nominal. That's taking the circulating supply as CoinMarketCap presents it, which is every Bitcoin ever mined. But again, that's not true. So today, I'm going to do something that you probably have not seen done before. I'm going to calculate the fair circulating supply of Bitcoin. Sorry, the fair market cap of Bitcoin. And I'm going to, once again, as always, be very conservative in this. Over 2 million Bitcoin have been lost, which means we've got 19.86 million Bitcoin in circulating supply. That's how many have ever been mined. We have to subtract exactly 1 million Bitcoin from that because it's in Satoshi's wallet, and Satoshi's wallet has not moved in a decade and a half. And it never will because it's most likely been lost. So we've lost 1 million Bitcoin to Satoshi. It's basically might as well be burned. It might be out there somewhere, but it's most likely gone. Now we've lost another 2 million Bitcoin, minus 2 million. We've lost another 2 million Bitcoin just from being deleted. Actually, the number's more like 2.5 million, but we'll be conservative and call it 2 million. That means the circulating supply of Bitcoin is not 19.86 million Bitcoin, which is what we calculate the market capitalization off of. It's actually 16.86 million. 3 million less. If you multiply 16.86 times 105,392, then what you're going to find is a market capitalization not of 2.08 trillion, but actually a market capitalization of $1.77 trillion. Why does that matter? Well, because it's a lot easier to move a $1.77 trillion market than it is to move a $2 trillion market. What's my point here? For Bitcoin to 10x from here, we need to 10x the market capitalization. Jeb, $300 billion does not make that big of a difference for the calculation. Oh, but it does. Au contraire, my friend. If the gold market grows at the same rate that it grew in the last 15 years, in the next 15 years, let's call it the next 10 years. If gold grows at the same rate that it did in the last 10 years, that it does in the next 10 years, 2015 to 2025, then 2025 to 2035, let's pull up the numbers. I like using actual numbers here. Let's look at what gold has done over the last 10 years, market cap. By the end of the stream, you're going to be convinced to buy Bitcoin. Like, if you don't buy Bitcoin after this stream, I don't know what's going to convince you. Oh my goodness, it's so obvious. 2015, excuse me, in 2015, gold's market cap was $6 trillion. Now, today, gold's market cap is $23 trillion. Let's do some simple math here. 23 divided by 6, 23 is a fair number. Call it 6.5. 23 divided by 6.5. That's a 3.5x in a decade. Jeb, it's not going to do that again. Gold won't do that again. Why? Well, there's only two reasons you can say that. Number one, because Bitcoin will take market cap from it. Great, that makes my point. Two, the only reason you'll say that gold is not going to 3.5x again is because you believe that people are more believing in bonds more so now than they are in gold. People are more interested in buying national debt. People are more interested in fiat currency than gold. Are you freaking kidding me? The debasement of the United States dollar is at such a clip right now that the United States is on track to go bankrupt in the next 20 years. The market demand for gold and Bitcoin is going to be more in the next 10 years than it was in the last 10 years. Virtually guaranteed. So let's say that gold 3x's. It 3.5x'd in the last 10 years. Let's say it 3x's in the next 10 years. You've got a $23 trillion gold market cap right now. 3x of that is $70 trillion. By the way, a $70 trillion market cap on Bitcoin would be $3.5 million per coin. That's a 35x from here. Now, we're talking 2035. Jeb, 2035 so far away. Extend your time horizon, dear Padawan. If you want to make money, you got to look further than next week. You got to look further than the end of your fingernail. Okay? You've got to look a little bit further out. So, is it realistic that gold will have a $70 trillion market cap in 2035? Absolutely. Global investable wealth will probably more than double. That accounts for a $45 trillion gold. And then you're also going to see an exodus out of the bond market, which is a $250 trillion juggernaut. It's $250 quadrillion. People are not going to be buying treasuries. People are done buying treasuries. They don't trust the U.S. debt anymore. Donald Trump's trying to teach us to trust the U.S. debt, but it's not a good idea to trust the debt. People buying bonds are sick and tired of losing money if they had just invested in something like gold or the market. People are not buying treasuries the way that they used to. They're just not doing it because the credit rating of the United States going down is a big deal. The fact that the interest payments that the United States has to pay on our debt quadrupling in the last 2 years, if you do that again, we now have a $5 trillion a year deficit. Nobody wants to buy that. The era of U.S. treasuries being risk-free is over. No matter what Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, anybody on the left or right say, it's over. People are tired of investing in fiat debt. They don't trust it anymore, which is going to send the rate through the roof, which is going to send inflation to the roof, which is going to lead to hyperinflation, which is going to lead to hyper-Bitcoinization. Okay, so 2035, a $70 trillion gold market is all but a foregone conclusion. Why does this matter? Because in 2035, now let's go ahead and tie it all together. Jeb, you made 2 points. Gold market cap, Bitcoin's real market cap. For Bitcoin to 10x from an actual market cap of 1.7 trillion to 17 trillion, 69 divided by 17 is 1/4. In 2035, for the Bitcoin market to be worth 1/4, 25% of what the gold market is worth in 2035, Bitcoin will be trading at $1 million. If in 2035, Bitcoin and gold are neck and neck, in 2035, Bitcoin will be trading at $4 million. So you tell me. You tell me whether Bitcoin's a good investment. You tell me whether you want to screw around in altcoins and miss the opportunity of a lifetime. Is it a bad idea to invest in altcoins? Did you ever be a Bitcoin maxi? No, I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. But I will tell you what my actions speak of. I don't buy altcoins. I buy Bitcoin. I've never regretted it, ever. You can screw around with altcoins all you want, and there's a lot of gains to be made there. You could get 100x on some of them, but in every market, there is a certain investment that is considered risk-free. Bitcoin, in my opinion, is taking the place of U.S. Treasuries as being the risk-free investment. Why would I not put my money in something that I can reasonably expect to 10 to 40x in the next decade with a risk factor that is so small it's difficult to see? Where else are you going to find that risk to reward? Nowhere. Nowhere. Well, Jeb, what about Solana? What about Ethereum? What about XRP? Every single one of them has a litany of competitors. There's only one Bitcoin. This is a shark versus shark battle to the death between Bitcoin and gold, and there is no runner-up. Litecoin wants to pretend it is. It ain't even close. Ain't even close. I love you, Litecoin. Special place in my heart. You never flipping Bitcoin. It's not going to happen. This is a fight to the death as we watch the United States dollar collapse because of stupid spending in Congress. In the next 20 years, the United States debt quote me on this. Somebody clip this and quote me on this. U.S. debt in 20 years will be $150 trillion. 6x what it is right now. In 20 years, U.S. debt will be at minimum $150 trillion. And when that occurs, the cost of acquiring capital is going to be in the tens of trillions of dollars a year because nobody's going to buy U.S. treasuries without getting a 12% return on them. The bond market is getting deleted in the next 25 years. And the only place that you can run as we have to reset the entire financial system is to Bitcoin or gold. But gold is going to be underperforming Bitcoin. I'd rather you buy gold than bonds. But I'd rather you buy Bitcoin than gold. Why then, if this is the long-term perspective, why then are we so concerned? Why then are we so concerned about whether Bitcoin's going to 94 right now or going to 120 right now? The most important thing that we need to consider right now is that the current financial system is unsustainable. The laws of money. What are our laws of money? One of our laws of money is you must always spend less than you make. Always. Always. You must spend less money than you make. If not, that's like driving a car straight towards a cliff, expecting to keep having road. You keep thinking that the cliff will get farther away than you are than the speed with which you are driving. It doesn't work that way. You can raise the debt ceiling all you want. Entitlements have to come down. Social Security has to get restructured. Medicare and Medicaid have to get restructured. Is it going to hurt a lot of people? Yeah. Because the United States wrote a bad check. Wrote a terrible, terrible, bad check and has gotten completely out of hand. And it sucks. And it's going to have to be restructured or the United States dollar as you know it is going to disappear. We have to cut fraud. We have to cut waste. We have to cut government entitlements. And we have to teach people to invest for themselves. If any of you follow my investment principles for 10 years, you're not going to need Social Security. You're going to have your own money. We have to teach the American people to invest in the markets. You know what the American market would be doing if people were actually taught to invest? My goodness gracious. You wouldn't need Social Security. Everybody would be rich. Have money coming out of our ears and we'd have a surplus. It has to change. And if it doesn't change, which is almost certainly is not going to change, then what is going to happen is you're going to see the end of the dollar as we know it within 50 years. You're going to see a bankrupt U.S. government. You're going to see 20 years of turmoil like we saw in the Great Depression, but worse. And value is going to be in Bitcoin, gold, food, lands, and guns. A financial Armageddon is on the horizon if we do not deal with U.S. debt because we can only print money for so long before there become two very distinct classes of people, people that bought Bitcoin and people that don't. If you expect to live more than 20 years from now, then you have a vested interest in preparing for this doomsday scenario that is guaranteed to happen unless we elect politicians that can fix it because it can still be changed. It's not too late, but it has to happen and it has to happen now. And if it doesn't, your only safe haven in the physical world is going to be behind the barrel of a gun and while holding Bitcoin because people are going to be coming for it to try and steal it from you while you sleep. So you're going to need to protect yourself because they'll try and hurt you to get it. They'll try and torture you to get the keys out of you. It's an Orwellian future, and it's coming if things don't change. We can't do this forever. I don't care if you're the U.S. government. It is still a created entity. It is still under the heavens and under the earth. It is still under wisdom. It might take 150 years to happen, but if you run towards a cliff for long enough, you will eventually fall off of it. And Bitcoin is the only solution I see other than massive, massive, massive government reform, which even the Trump administration, even Doge, may have a very, very difficult time achieving. Bitcoin is going at minimum to $1 million by 2035. At that point in time, with the adjusted market capitalization, you would only need a $17 trillion market cap for the hardest, most valuable asset on the in human history. And as someone said in chat, you're going to see gold go down to its industrial value, which at the current moment is probably $10 to $12 trillion. It's not nothing, but you're going to see the investment leave gold, leave bonds, and both of them are going to come into Bitcoin. A $100 to $200 trillion Bitcoin is coming. Jeb, you sound nuts. That's a 5 to 10 million I know. I'm aware. A 5 to 10 million Bitcoin is coming. If you live 25 to 30 years, you will see a 100x in Bitcoin from here. And feel free in 2050 to come back and quote me on this. Because unless something happens to the Bitcoin network, if Bitcoin continues operating in its current state, assuming some kind of quantum computing hack or something doesn't happen, which is extremely unlikely, so long as that doesn't happen, so long as the network does not get compromised, so long as Bitcoin remains the most secure, unhackable network on planet Earth, which I believe it will, so long as the network does not get hacked, Bitcoin will have a $200 trillion market capitalization, and it will overtake gold. And you will see the global bond market moving 10, 20, 30% of its allocation into Bitcoin because the returns are going to be better and it's going to be a safer, more risk-free asset than fiat currency. That is why we invest in Bitcoin every single day. And as many of you as I can convince to do the same, I'm going to try and convince to do the same. And that's why I'm going to Bitcoin 2025 to get more information for myself and to try and Bitcoin pill more people. I want to orange pill all of y'all. The future is here. And you have about a 10-year window to get this right or get left behind. And you don't want to get left behind because this is only going to happen once. This is only going to happen once. And then it's done. There will be a point in the future where if fiat currency stabilize, and that's a big if. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. It's a big if. But if fiat currency stabilize, where Bitcoin will grow at 8 to 12% a year. At that point in time, you will have missed out on life-changing wealth, and it will be about the same as investing in the stock market. We're talking 2040 to 2045, 2050. Those of you that understand that the next 10 to 20 years is the digital gold rush, the likes of which humankind has never seen and will never see again, you understand that you are a part of history. This is 1904 and you're investing in Ford Motor Company. This is 1978 and you're investing in Apple Computer. This is 2012 and you're investing in NVIDIA. You get one chance. Don't screw it up. Live on less than you make. Avoid debt, especially the stupid debt. Now, if you got a mortgage, honestly, I'd rather you buy Bitcoin than pay down the mortgage, especially if you have a good rate. Live on less than you make. Save and invest. Be radically generous. Have a plan for how you're going to withdraw your Bitcoin. In 2040, my plan, and I don't know, this will probably change, but kind of our tentative plan is in 2040, we might withdraw 5% of the portfolio every year. In 2040, I'll only be 40 years old. Our oldest child will only be 20 at that point. I'll be 40. We might start withdrawing 5% of the portfolio at that point. Don't hold it forever where you never actually get to enjoy it because that would just be stupid. But just put a moratorium for as long as possible on spending the Bitcoin. Kick it off into the future as long as you can. Maybe you're 67 and you're like, yeah, in 2040 I'm going to be, I'm going to be 82. I don't want to do that. Okay, then say 5 years. Say in 5 years I will start taking, etc. But you will be able to live on the Bitcoin proceeds one day if you plant seeds in the ground right now. The amount of Bitcoin that we have right now in 10 years, when we're at $1 million a coin, will be many, many, many large numbers of Bitcoin. And I'm looking forward to that. And we acquire every day. Acquire Bitcoin. Focus on the signal. Ignore the noise. You got a lot of noise in the altcoin market. Some of it's helpful. Focus on the signal. Bitcoin's the signal. Everybody and their mother is going to say that they're competing. Caspa. Love Caspa. You could get 100x in Caspa. You genuinely could do it. I have no issue with you diversify and put 1 or 2% in Caspa. No issue with that. But there's only one Bitcoin, and there will only ever be one Bitcoin. It will never lose its hegemony status unless it gets. It'll never lose its hegemony status unless something happens to the network itself. So long as the network remains secure, it's not going anywhere. It's just not. So let's talk about technicals. We've established the long-term future. I've proven to you as much as I possibly can without actually just having a time machine that Bitcoin's going to well over $1 million a coin. $1.7 trillion to $2 trillion market cap right now is puny. You see a 10% allocation out of the bond market, the current bond market, which will be $800 trillion in 15 years. Into bonds, by the way, global debt is going to $1 quadrillion by 2045. Within the next 20 years, here's a chart that'll be helpful. Let's do a lesson here. Do a lesson here. Here we go. Is this the chart I'm looking for? Yeah, here we go. Okay. This is 5 months ago. This is good. This is great. All right, so Bitcoin, $1.7 trillion. Total global assets, $900 trillion. We've got about $130 trillion worth of money. What's that? That's money sitting in money market accounts. That's money sitting in bank accounts. We got about $20 trillion worth of artwork because it is actually a surprisingly large industry. Gold at $17 trillion. This is 5 months ago. Gold is, $23 trillion now. Equities, that's stocks, $110 trillion. I bet you didn't know that government debt was $300 billion. Remember how I said, follow the law of money? This says avoid debt. You know why I said that? Because debt is not good for creation. When you avoid debt, you might get lower returns. Because honestly, yeah, I can understand. You want to take a loan out of 2% and buy Bitcoin with it? There's a great arbitrage there. And I ain't going to fuss at you if you do it. Not saying you should, but I'm not going to complain at you if you do it, if you're going to hold it for 10 years. But $300 trillion worth of bonds. This is money that people have placed in the hands of people like the U.S. government, companies, banks, to generate almost nothing. They're making almost nothing on the bonds. All they're doing is investing in something that they consider to be basically risk-free because they've already got a $5 million portfolio, and 4% on $5 million is $200,000 a year, and they're happy with that. They're going to start not being very interested in bonds when the debt bubble, the global debt bubble starts to pop. They're going to invest in Bitcoin because they don't trust U.S. debt. They don't trust EU debt. They don't trust Japanese debt. The Bank of Japan, the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister, right, of Japan, just came out talking about how he does not, how the debt situation has reached 260% of GDP in Japan. They're in a ridiculous amount of debt. Money is going to flow out of this, and to a lesser degree, it's going to flow out of this. What is this? Equities. This is the S&P 500. This is stocks, right? Equities. Ownership. You own something. You own a share of a company, right? Money's going to flow out of equities, out of bonds, out of gold. You total them up. They're $500 quadrillion, $500 trillion. This is 5 months ago. By today, that's $500 trillion. Is going to flow out of all of these into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a vacuum which will suck money out of all 6 of these categories. Real estate prices are already starting to hover because of the uncertainty about U.S. debt. We bought our house 3.5 years ago. Its value is not increased by that much. I was expecting it to increase by more because what you hear is, oh, buy real estate, buy real estate, buy real estate, buy real estate. It's been my goal for a long time to buy real estate. Now that I understand this, why? There's $1 quadrillion worth of money in the world. Bitcoin's at 0.2% of that, and that's going to 5x in the next 10 years. You're going to have in the next 10, 15, 20 years, maybe next 20 years, you're going to have $2 to $5 quadrillion invested here because of the growth of the economy, because of population growth, because of inflation, etc. Bitcoin takes a 10% allocation, taking a couple of percent out of all these. Bitcoin becomes a $6 to $7 million coin. This right here is the single most important graph, single most important chart in all of cryptocurrency. Because the underlying intrinsic value of Bitcoin is 100x what it is currently valued at. It is the most undervalued asset in human history because it is not an industry. It is not an asset. Bitcoin alone is an entire asset class. In the same way, gold is not just an investment. It is an entire asset class. By the way, we have to stop doing war with the gold bugs. And the gold bugs, I understand why they do war with us because they know we're going to replace them. But we need to start honoring our forefathers. We need to start being good to the gold community because we want to steal their title. If you go into a company and you want to get the executive director, the director position, you don't go and spit on the current director. You brown nose them. I mean, come on. Like, welcome to corporate politics. Come on. How did Mr. Beast become the biggest YouTuber on planet Earth? How did he do that? Because he got real buddy-buddy with PewDiePie. Quit trashing gold. Don't buy it, but quit trashing it. They're our friends. They don't see us as friends because they know we're going to rob them blind. But gold was our predecessor. We're standing on the shoulders of gold. Gold is who came in here and created a niche for us to come and fill. But we do it better. So instead of gold having 2% of global allocation, Bitcoin's going to have 10%, 15%. The amount of money that is coming into Bitcoin is unheard of. One day, Bitcoin will actually be visible on this chart, and it'll be too late. You'll have missed your chance. You'll have missed your chance. If I haven't gotten you excited and shown you why to be excited with evidence by now, I don't know what will. I don't know what will. Let's read a little bit of chat, and then we'll talk about the charts. Jeb, nothing in the universe lasts forever. Eventually, Bitcoin will get cracked. Could be quicker than we think. Remember, we didn't think AI would grow so rapidly. It could. I don't think that'll happen this century, and none of us will be alive in the 2200s, in the 2100s. Bitcoin probably won't last forever either. It might last 250 to 300 years. Eventually, all the Bitcoin will be lost, right? And the price will be so astronomically high that the division, it just won't make any sense. You'll have to do a Bitcoin improvement proposal to add an extra 8 decimals. That'll probably happen in the 2100s. And the network will be upgraded to protect against quantum computing. How do I know that? Because there's a lot more money going into Bitcoin than there is into quantum computing. It's an arms race. It's a war of attrition. Bitcoin wins. I'm not really worried about it. Man, you're really sleeping on Caspa. No, I like Caspa, and actually, I do want to acquire more of it. I do like Caspa. I agree with that. I do think Caspa is underrated. I'm not concerned about Caspa. I think it's a decent investment, but it is still a distraction from the king, which is Bitcoin. I the Beholder said, it's been a while, Jeb. Glad to see you're doing well. Yeah, excited. Happy to be here. So give me a 1 in chat if you appreciate all this information I'm giving you. Does this show you what the future is going to look like? Does this show you? Does this show you what's going to happen here? Yep. Okay. Tomorrow's guarantee is not guaranteed, let alone a decade. That's right. Enjoy your life and build wealth today as well. You know, for example, we're going to be in Vegas next week to go to the Bitcoin 2025 conference. I don't need to go there, but frankly, I want to. Right? I want to go to Vegas. I don't gamble. Unless you call investing in Bitcoin gambling, but I don't gamble. But excited to be there. Like flying. Like staying in fancy hotels, and looking forward to meeting you guys at 2025 in Bitcoin 2025. It's you need to enjoy your life as much as you possibly can, because if you remember the financial sovereignty way, which we harp on all the time, step 10 is build wealth and be radically generous. What is wealth? Wealth is not money. How much Bitcoin you have is not wealth. Your ability to convert your money into a joyful life through wisdom in the Lord Jesus Christ is where you get wealth. The Bible says, by me, wisdom is speaking, by me kings rule, right? She is more precious than rubies. All the things thou canst desire not to be compared unto her. Length of days in her right hand, and her left hand riches of honor. Happy is everyone that findeth her. This is what Proverbs chapter 3, for example, says about wisdom. So acquire wisdom and use wisdom to gain more wealth and obey Jesus. You know, that's the whole matter. That's the whole conclusion of the matter, Ecclesiastes 12:13. Last verse of Ecclesiastes, right? Use the money that you've built to build a wealthy life. What is wealth? Wealth is not just money. It is health, wealth, and happiness, right? The ultimate goal in life is to obey God and keep his commandments. And what happens when you do that is generally you'll be pretty happy. You'll have joy. Even if somebody's about to cut your head off, you still have joy because you know where you're going, right? No matter how good it gets down here on earth, we're still, as a Christian, if you're actually a Christian, you're still looking forward to the next life, right? So you have joy, you have peace, you have happiness. Don't just build a financial portfolio. We're supposed to build a life that is full of love, joy, and peace. That's my ultimate goal for you, not just to help you get to 10 Bitcoin. My ultimate goal for you is to build wealth. And from the monetary element of that, I think that Bitcoin is a fantastic way to do that. I'd drop you 50 memberships if you did a live deep dive on everything Caspa is and what they're working on. I feel you are very behind. Bitcoin is a store of value. Caspa is the medium of exchange. Might be it, Kryptoni. That's a good point. We'll check it out. Again, as I've said, I like Caspa, and I've looked into it, and we actually, I am a fan of it. I need more Bitcoin, pew pew poom too. Playtime is over. Yeah, the digital gold rush like you've never seen before is coming. So let's talk about the actual chart. We're running a little long here, but that's okay. Why do we think that Bitcoin is about to witness a break above 109? Well, the world is waking up to what I just showed you. The world at large still does not understand that this little sliver of Bitcoin is going to become like a whole quadrant here. It's not going to completely upend. It's not going to take over 70% of global assets. I'm not saying that, but it's going to take 10 to 15%. It's going to be visible from outer space here. Looking at the total global assets, it's going to be visible. And relatively large. It's going to be bigger than gold. It's probably going to be about the size of the equities here, just Bitcoin. When that occurs, what I mean is that people don't see that coming yet. They don't really realize that that's on the horizon. We're so ridiculously early, it's not even funny. So That's why I think that Bitcoin's going to smash through 109, because I think we're going into the parabolic phase of the market. Now, there's a lot of different charts I could show you about that. The first thing I want to show you, though, is Lux Algo here. Lux Algo is ridiculously bullish on Bitcoin. If you guys have not already signed up for Lux Algo, you should. luxalgo.com/Jeb to get our proprietary indicator that we built with Lux Algo, or you can go to luxalgo.com, sign up for the ultimate version or the premium version, use coupon code JEB, J-E-B-B, for 20% off at checkout. Make sure to check that out. I want to show you these 3 daily chart Lux Algo buy signals because they are powerful. We just had a 3 daily chart Lux Algo buy signal. We just had it just about a week and a half ago. Whenever these happen, Bitcoin typically rallies between 60%, this was the smallest one here, about 14%, between about 60% to 75%. All 3 major rallies this cycle have been preceded by one of these bullish events. One right here, one right here, and one right here. The way this works is we have our buy signal come in and we have train catcher turn green and confirm with it. It's a 50 to 70% movement off of the confirmation. Bitcoin was trading at $95,000 when this happened this time. On the low end estimate, a 50% rally from there would be $144,000 Bitcoin. On the high end estimate there, a 70% movement would be $165,000 Bitcoin. Well, Jeb, you understand, Jeb, don't you, that a $165,000 Bitcoin would be a $3.2 trillion market cap. Where the hell are you going to get $1 trillion? Well, my friend, the United States S&P 500 has added $15 trillion, about $10 trillion of market cap in the last 2 months. Where are you going to find $1 trillion? Guys, $1 trillion ain't as hard to find as it used to be. I mean, come on, it's just growing on trees, right? No, I mean, it's not really. But when you're looking at a global market that's adopted the world over, $1 trillion is nothing. Nothing. With the kind of rap sheet Bitcoin's got, easy. No issue whatsoever. And also, here's the other thing. You don't need $1 trillion of actual money to increase the market cap by $1 trillion. You only need a couple $100 billion. Because a lot of times, especially in a parabolic blow-off cycle, like what you're going to see after we break 109, as soon as we break 109, gloves are off, you're at 120. There's a chance you could hover there, but it's probably just going to shoot. It's just probably just going to teleport from 110 to 120. You're going to put a massive gap in there, and then 110 to 120. But just go ahead and bookmark what I'm saying here, because this is something that I'm quite confident is going to happen. You're probably going to teleport from 110 to 120. There's going to be a massive VRVP gap in there, and then the bottom of the next correction is probably going to be down to 110 to 120 to fill a gap. That's probably what's going to happen. We're probably going to shoot up through 120, straight through 120 up to 165. You correct 30% from not even that, 25, 30% down to 110 to 120. Fill the gap. You stay down there for a couple of months. And then if we don't super cycle, or if we do start to go into a super cycle, then you see a rally again up to 250 going into next year. So these prices right now, 105, you may never see again. You might not. There's a chance you could. I mean, what I just outlined here is not guaranteed to happen, but there's a chance. There's a very high chance, in fact, that is what's going to happen. Is what I expect to happen. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Golden Cross. People have been asking about the Golden Cross, the good old Golden Cross. Golden Cross is the 50 and the 200 crossing bullish, and it is currently something that's happening, if I recall correctly. Which Golden Cross are you talking about? I think it's on the daily chart, right? Yes, the daily chart. Here we go. On the daily chart, we've got the 50 and the 200 about to cross. Now, let's look at the historical context of this. This is typically a cross that occurs at the beginning of a bull market. If we look at the historicity of this, I will show you every time going back as long as I've been in crypto that this has occurred. The first time that this ever happened since Coinbase was founded was here. In fact, I've done a lot of analysis about the 50 and the 200 daily moving average golden crosses. We have content on it from 6 years ago in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy still up that you can go watch. The golden cross here preceded the entire 2016-17 bull market. The entire bull market, 6,000% return, happened as a result of that golden cross. There's another golden cross right here that happened in April of 2019, preceded the entire previous bull market. Bitcoin rallied after that occurred from $5,200 all the way up to $66,000, 1,000% return. We also saw one occur here. That was in February of 2023, which seems like a long time ago, but it was still part of this cycle. From that golden cross, Bitcoin has rallied to current price 357%. Diminishing returns, obviously, but it's still there. We are starting to see the character of the 50 and the 200 moving average change from being that which precedes an entire bull market to that which precedes a rally within the bull market. We never saw a bearish death cross happen in 2016 and 17 because we were so much more parabolic. We did see that happen quite a few times here in the 2020-2021 bull market. In our current bull market, we've seen a golden cross precede every major movement. We saw a golden cross precede the first leg up right here, the second leg up right here, and the third leg up right here. It stands to reason that this golden cross now represents the confirmation of our fourth leg up in this cycle. Comparing not to every cycle, but comparing to this cycle, this gives us the confirmation that the market has indeed bottomed out and that we are on our way into the next parabolic phase of the rally. If you look at the characteristics and the dynamics of our market rallies that are occurring, you see there is a parabolic top, parabolic rally, and then basically a lot of sideways trading because the underlying intrinsic value of Bitcoin has exploded so much. And that's essentially what we're seeing here. With this golden cross occurring at this very point, as Bitcoin's trading at 105, that means that Bitcoin is essentially at the same place in the rally, or in the preparation of the rally, that we were at in these last three cycles. After the golden cross here in February of 2023, we still had another 37% to go. After the golden cross that happened here in October of 2023, we still had another 113% to go. And after the golden cross that happened late last year in October of 2024, we still had another 52% to go. So that gives us a range. We already got a range from Lux Algo of 50 to 70%, which puts us at $145,000 to $165,000 this cycle. This range gives us a 30 to 112% range, more or less. That gives us a rally of 138,000 all the way up to 225,000. Split that down the middle, you're looking once again at a 50 to a 70% rally. So we'll call it 60% to about $170,000. Well, does that make sense from the bottom top, right? This rally was 100% tall. This rally was 200% tall. This rally was 100% tall. So the rallies have been about 100% to 200% tall. A rally of 100% from our current bottom would be $150,000 Bitcoin. A 200% rally would be a $225,000 Bitcoin. A 150% rally would be $185,000 Bitcoin, and 125% rally in total, which is probably what we're expecting, would be $165,000. I have not been showing my chart this whole time. Let's go ahead and run over that again. I'm really sorry. I can't wait to look at the comments and see you guys saying, Jeb, you're a noob. So we've got the golden crosses here, right? See that? You can see this little dip right there. Boom. See that little dip? Precedes the rally. Same things happen here. Apologies for that. You get it twice because I get to redo it. From bottom to top here, we've got a 105% movement. From bottom to top here, we've got a 200% movement. From bottom to top here, we've got a 100% movement. From bottom to top here, we've got a movement of 100 to 200% expected. A 100% movement off the bottom here would be $148,000 Bitcoin. A 200% movement off the bottom, I'm sorry, not the top, would be a $225,000 Bitcoin. What's more likely is 100 to 125%, which puts us between $150,000 and $168,000. If we look at the rally that followed, just kind of doing a quick recap on what I said, because I know you didn't have the chart while I was saying it. If you take the extrapolation off of the previous golden crosses here, we have a 37% rally. We have a 109% rally, and we have a 58% rally. So a 35 to 110% movement off of where we are right when the golden cross happens is a Bitcoin price between $142,000 and $220,000. If you take the slightly more conservative middle range of that, like 20 to 30, 40% through that, you're once again looking at $145,000 to $165,000. I don't know if I don't know if my chart was off that entire time, so I'll just quickly show you the 3 daily chart with Lux Algo again. If we take all of our golden crosses here, our bullish signals right here, here, and here, you see a rally of roughly 57%. You see a rally of roughly 67%. And you see a rally of roughly 57%. So you're looking at a 50 to a 70% rally from about 97,000. That would be a price target of $145,000 to $165,000 if the market repeats itself. And if you add in just a little bit of conservatism there, you're looking at $145,000 to $150,000 Bitcoin this cycle. Cannot wait to see all of the charting of people saying, oh my gosh, yeah, the chart's not up. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'd call them right now, lol. Yeah. So anyway, point is, we've got 3 different perspectives. We've got the bottom to the top of the cycle of the rally. We've got the price target off of the buy signal from Lux Algo, and we've got the price target off of the actual golden cross. All of them give us a rally of about $145,000 to $165,000 Bitcoin this cycle. So split it down the middle. This cycle, you're looking at most likely a $150,000 Bitcoin. That is brought to you by one of our sponsors, which is LuxAlgo. So make sure to check out LuxAlgo. Actually, an affiliate, not a sponsor, but we love LuxAlgo. Make sure to sign up for LuxAlgo if you haven't already. You can do award-winning, world-class technical analysis with LuxAlgo. Use coupon code JEB, J-E-B-B, for 20% off at checkout. They've got backtesting. They've got artificial intelligence. They've got an amazing community. Oh my gosh, the LuxAlgo community is amazing. You got all kinds of trade entries going on over there. All kinds of strategies. Their Discord server is absolutely phenomenal. Make sure to sign up for LuxAlgo. All kinds of value over there. If you're a trader or investor in the cryptocurrency space, you need LuxAlgo. It's that simple. It's the best indicator on the market, bar none. I've used a lot of them. Used almost all of them. LuxAlgo is the best. Make sure to sign up with the link in the description box down below. Get 20% off at checkout by going to luxalgo.com using coupon code JEB, J-E-B-B, at checkout. So, our price target for this cycle, conservatively, if Bitcoin just does what's already done 3 times, and there's no reason to believe it's not going to, and ultimately we might be going into blow off top. And if we do, we're hitting 250, and that's the end of the bull market. If we go into the whole like super cycle idea, and we don't actually go into a 4-year halving cycle, end of cycle, just moonshot, which I hope we don't. I hope Bitcoin tops out 150, drops down to 110. I hope it does that. Oh my goodness, I would love that. Spend more time below $200,000. Yes, please. I'd love to acquire more Bitcoin. Because I know where it's going in 10 years. It's going to get there one way or the other. A $145,000 to $150,000 Bitcoin later on this year is extraordinarily likely. And a backtesting down to $100,000 is possible. Although as you approach $100,000, it becomes less likely that you're ever going to see it again. Bitcoin is now at home above 100K, not beneath. Bitcoin is now at home in the 6 figures, not in the 5 figures. And it's going to stay that way. It will. We could drop back down to the 5 figures for days, weeks, months, but it'd still be in foreign territory. We just saw the highest weekly candlestick close in history on Bitcoin just a couple of days ago, up at $106,500. We've never seen that before. Bitcoin's here to stay. It's hitting its head. Even on the weekly chart, you can see it. It's a very simple bull flag. Sorry, bull pennant. Ascending triangle pattern bull pennant. You take the bull pennant, you extrapolate. Oh, look at that. It's pointing at $145,000. Where have you heard that before? If I've not made the case obvious enough that Bitcoin is going to $1 million in the next 10 years and that Bitcoin is most likely going to $145,000 to $150,000 within the next 3 to 4 months, tell me, because I'm not quite sure how to make it more obvious. Not quite sure. But from my perspective, it is quite obvious. Let's read some chat and then we're going to wrap it out. Make sure if you haven't already to sign up for LuxAlgo with the link in the description box down below. Tim Matthews said, why are there 3 light bulbs hanging behind you? It's called set decoration, my friend. They do absolutely nothing. They just look cool. They're called Edison lights. In fact, they're a little bright. Let's turn them down. There we go. That's better. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see. Not sharing the charts. Oh my gosh, I love that. Sorry, guys, for that. I need him to give me his number, lol. I'd call him right now. He thinks he's showing the chart. I did think that. Kryptoni donated $2, said you aren't showing the charts. That's how to raise money for buying Bitcoin right there. Just don't show your, just start a live stream, don't show your charts. People will pay you to see the charts. I love it. I'd have charged like $10 admission to the stream. We'd make so much money. I'm just kidding. Oh, goodness. So many people misjudge this whole area of Bitcoin and cryptos. It's a sitting game, not a trading game. Keep all investments. So many people beef up the story, think it's less stress than people think. Yeah. If you're a trader and you're not making 40 to 50% a year, stop. Like, just quit. If you're a trader and you can make 40 or 50% a year and you like doing it, okay. All right. But if you want a 30% CAGR on the greatest investment known to mankind, then just buy Bitcoin. I've already shown you the CAGR, $1 million Bitcoin. Like, this is how you do this. Check this out. This is how you do this. Go to a calculator. Real simple. People overcomplicate all kinds of crap. You aren't here because I've got something complicated. You're here because I'm going to show you something simple. $105,000. After 10 years, what number do we have to set here to make that $1 million with no contribution? In 10 years, if you have a 30% annualized return, we're at a $1.5 million Bitcoin. 26% annualized return, you're at $1 million Bitcoin. 25%, you're at $977. If Bitcoin is going to hit $1 million in the next 10 years, you're looking at a 25.5% CAGR. The last 5 years on Bitcoin have seen a 50% continual average growth rate. Now, let's take 20%. Heck, let's take 18%. Super conservative. Let's make this monthly. Actually, let's make sure that's still not much different. Yeah, the compounding, let's make that daily. Right. You're looking at like a 24% CAGR. Excuse me. And actually, no, it's 23%. That's right. I remember that number. 23% if you compound it daily. After 10 years, you get to $1 million. In 10 years, May 20th, 2035, for Bitcoin to be at $1 million is only a 23% average rate of return. If you make that 18%, drop it really low, and then you give it 20 years, 2045 shows up, you're at $4 million a coin. Now go back to 23%, and it can happen. You can maintain 23% run rate, or sorry, continual average growth rate for 20 years if you're taking over the global financial markets. In 20 years, 2045, you're looking at a $10 million coin. You make that 25%, which is what Saylor thinks, and you're looking at $15 million Bitcoin by 2045. It's coming, guys. Oh, but Jeff, $15 million, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. Why not? Let's see. A $15 million Bitcoin times a $17 trillion market cap is a $255 trillion market cap. In 2045, a $15 million Bitcoin is a $255 trillion market cap. Well, bonds are 300 trillion, excuse me. By 2045, that's 20 years from now, bonds will probably be $1 quadrillion. Let's look at the value of global bonds in 2000. The value of global bonds in 2000 was, let's see if I can find it. Global bond value. I would estimate it's probably $50 to $70 trillion at that point in time. Let's see if I can find some. Might take me a little bit longer to find the data that I'm looking for, but I would estimate that in 2000, 25 years ago, the global bond market, size of the bond market in 2000. If Google doesn't help, Grok will do it. In 2000, the global bond market was estimated to be around 47 trillion. What did I say? I said 50 to 70 trillion dollars. Okay, so, and right now you're looking at close to 300 trillion. So you've seen about a 5 to a 6x in the last 25 years. In the next 20 years, it's reasonable to assume that you might see a 4x in bonds. That's $1.2 quadrillion. If the bond market in 2045 is $1.2 quadrillion, why the hell could Bitcoin not be a fifth of that? Why could Bitcoin, the hard asset, not be a fifth of the not hard asset, which is debt? Why not? Why not? It would still be smaller than global equities. Why does a $15 million Bitcoin in 2045 scare you? It shouldn't. It's coming. And in 2045, if God gives me breath in my lungs for the next 20 years, I will be the dude on national television saying, I told you so back in 2018. And you should have listened. What do you think? Drop a 1 in chat if you agree with everything I said today. Do you think Bitcoin's going to 1 million by 2035, 10 million, maybe even 15 million by 2045? Do you agree? Do you agree that a $13 million Bitcoin by 2045, like Saylor predicts, is coming? Because I really do think it's going to happen. I do actually genuinely believe that. We put our money where our mouth is every single day. We buy Bitcoin every single day, and then we buy more on top of that. I love buying Bitcoin. I don't care what the price is. I just want coin. Because one day when Bitcoin's trading at $1 million, I'm not going to care if I got it at 109 or 105. I'm not going to give a rat's rip. I'm going to care about the fact that I have Bitcoin. Have I orange pilled you yet? Have I given you guys that are already orange pilled information that you can now use to go orange pill more people? It's real easy to orange pill people at the top, but what you also have to remember is you have to show people that bear markets can happen. Bitcoin can drop 70%. It can do it. Will it do it forever? No. But could it happen in the near future, in the next 2 years? Yep. Are you a weak hand or a strong hand? I have hodled through 2 bear markets now. I sold a little bit of Bitcoin for 2 events. Buying our house, and because I didn't want to use cash on our wedding. That's pretty much all I've done. Here and there, a few things here and there, right? But I've more or less a couple other events, more or less hodl Bitcoin. And I now have a very firm policy that I'm not selling Bitcoin for any reason. And if I could go back, I wouldn't have sold Bitcoin for those things. I would have just used cash, and I kind of regret it. I don't regret doing those things, but I do regret spending Bitcoin on them because I could have done it in cash. We could have done it with the dollar sitting in the bank account. But at the end of the day, when we had done that, I'd already made over a 30x on the Bitcoin. So, whatever. You got to live life too. So I'm very excited about where Bitcoin's going. I'm very excited for you guys that listened to what I've said. Treasure Bitcoin. Treasure wisdom more. Treasure Jesus most. But treasure Bitcoin. It's valuable. If you've not already signed up for LuxAlgo, sign up for LuxAlgo. Link in the description box down below. If you want to go over any of this with me, I am a financial coach also, so you can sign up for financial coaching with the link in the description box down below. I'd be more than happy to go over all this one-on-one with you. Please do not book for next week. I need to block that out in my calendar because I'm going to be in Las Vegas. But the week after or the week after that, I'd be more than happy to meet with you guys. Also, make sure to sign up for the Financial Sovereignty Academy, where you can go learn a lot more about how to build radical amounts of wealth. I want to help each and every one of you become worth $10 million by investing in Bitcoin and by getting sound money principles under your belt and investing in wisdom, which, as we know from the Bible, is chief even over gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Also, make sure to sign up for the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy so you can learn how to analyze charts. Join our over 5,000 students over in CT2A who have been learning how to analyze cryptocurrency markets for almost a decade. And also make sure to sign up for anything else you can find in the description box down below, because it helps to support our channel. But more importantly, any of those products down there are going to support you in your journey to building wealth in the cryptocurrency space. I really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I look forward to seeing some of you guys at Bitcoin 2025. And before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.